Saying CIFA, it means Cyprus Investment Funds Association, and this association was developed to support the development of the funds industry in Cyprus. And this came about after the events of 2013, where we had problems with our banking system and the downsize of our economy. So we looked for new opportunities and new tools through which we can attract international investors to use Cyprus and increase the services that we can offer in the financial services sector. And the idea of promoting Cyprus as an alternative funds jurisdiction in this geographical area of Europe made sense. And hence the association was developed for this purpose, to help the development of the industry, to support the members of the association in going through a learning curve, to learn the trade. And at the same time, CIFA has the duty to support the legal framework that needed to be developed, as well as to support the promotion of the industry. Cyprus now is EU compliant in relation to all directives that relate to all the asset management activity, and we see now the fruits out of which that has led to this successful trip, if I may call it like that. I would say one of the lead drivers, and I believe that this has well developed in the minds of the professionals that this industry has a very good prospect going forward. And this can be seen also by the members that have registered in the association. Now we have about more than 100 corporate members and about 250 physical persons who support the association. Currently, the Funds Association in Cyprus operates 11 technical committees, through which more work is being carried out in detail by the different committees, and support the board of directors in taking decisions and support whatever arguments we have to make to the government for implementation of new legislative measures. At the same time, we have introduced a quarterly bulletin that goes to our members, through which they get information regarding the recent developments, more specific analysis of different parts of the legislation, and this will increase the knowledge that could be given to our members through this. Lastly, we offer courses, relevant courses, through which, again, building up the knowledge, we consider it to be a very important role that the association has to play. Cyprus compares very favorably in all respects. It offers a very tax-efficient system, both for the investors as well as for the funds themselves, as well as for the fund managers who establish themselves in Cyprus. For example, the income that fund managers earn, if they earn more than 100,000 a year, that income is taxed at half the normal rates. So the maximum rate of taxation, it will be 17.5%. As well as we have introduced the carried interest concept, whereby bonuses that are paid to fund managers are only subject to 8% flat tax rate, which is very attractive. At the same time, the fund vehicles, who mainly buy and sell securities, are tax exempt completely. And in the alternative funds, capital gains realized are tax exempt as well from selling property overseas property that they hold, and investors are not subject to any withholding taxes when dividends are distributed to them. Assets under management currently have doubled already, and the impact on the economy is that gradually some of these investment funds are investing within Cyprus. So we have some 35 alternative funds whose role is this. And this is very important because it supports the financing of new investments, not necessarily relying on banks, but on private equity funds. And this, I believe, will help the whole economy to grow. We were very pleased that the government has approved the new legislation that regulates the alternative investment funds, which it's a legislation that upgrades the existing one on alternative investment funds. And such legislation brought new changes that relate to registered investment funds, as well as information. So the reason it was updated was to bring us as a Cypriot jurisdiction in line with other jurisdictions in promoting especially the registered alternative investment fund because of the speed of registering it. So these specialized funds are registered by already authorized alternative investment fund managers, and they don't have to go as a first process through the Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission. The ones that do go through that route may take 3 to 4 months to get their license, whereas the registered AIFs, who are registered under an authorized fund manager, could only take 2-3 weeks only. So this is a very important change to the current legislation. Let alone we took also the advantage of incorporating some new provisions in relation to the partnerships that could be set up to have a legal personality, which is again is another tool that could be provided to fund managers when looking how to structure a specific fund. Yes, we are monitoring the developments of Brexit, and certainly a hard Brexit could help in the development further of the funds industry in Cyprus. As you know, Cyprus follows the UK common law, as well as the tax rules are on the same basis that are formulated. So a fund manager who moves out of London into Cyprus will not have much of a change in terms of legal and tax framework. So this is what we are trying to promote. Already Cyprus is benefiting from the Brexit in that PI clubs that provide insurance coverage for the shipping industry have looked at Cyprus, and currently there are 2 who have committed in moving into Cyprus. So this is good news from that end, but also we expect if there is a hard Brexit, as I said before, Cyprus should be able to benefit from it. We are planning to have our 4th International Funds Forum, which is planned on the 13th to 15th of November of this year. And again, as in the previous Fund Summit, we managed to attract foreign participants, more than 100 they were last time. And in all, the participants in such fund summits exceed the number of 350 every time. So this shows the attractiveness, the interest on the funds industry in Cyprus. And again, the most important thing that we are offering is the jurisdiction, an EU jurisdiction in this part of the world, near the Middle East, Africa, and Europe, of course. And this, I believe, will play a big role in the promotion. You cannot have a fund industry unless you have investors. And one of the attractiveness of Cyprus is that is why we are near the Middle East, because investors, mainly who invest in the private equity in Europe, are based in the Middle East. So you are near them, so Cyprus could offer a base for fund managers to visit regularly these investors and promote their products. So one attractiveness is as I said before, is the geographical area. The other thing is that the investors, fund managers who have invested in the region, for example in Egypt or in Greece, they want to be nearby to visit and supervise what they have invested in. So again, Cyprus, because of its geographical position, could play a good role for the investments that have been already in place in the region, as well as supporting new investors coming into investing into Europe. And actually this was one of the things that EFAMA, the Funds Association from Europe, has highlighted the importance of Cyprus becoming a full member of EFAMA, as we did. And we recently, probably you have heard, we had their annual general meeting in Cyprus, whereby we had 28 members from 28 countries, as well as 62 corporates attending. Half of them, they never been in Cyprus before. And this was, for us, it was a very good promotion of Cyprus in getting people to know more about the jurisdiction and the proximity to markets that are of interest. In general, the assets under management have increased considerably in the past few years, mainly because of the banking crisis, whereby investors are looking for alternatives to invest their surplus funds. One of the reasons of the increase in the volume of assets under management is the close supervision and regulation that has been implemented. And this offers good security for the investors. And I believe that a lot has been done towards this end. I don't believe there is any need for further regulation, but this regulation that has already been implemented, it was enough to give the security for investors to increase such funds under management under the umbrellas of fund managers, and as opposed to have deposits in the banking sector. The added value for such alternative investment funds financing the economy is that there is a continuous monitor of the investments made by the fund managers, requiring the companies that benefited from such an investment to produce quarterly accounts, cash flows, business plans on a continuous basis. The alternative would have been banking finance. And the problems that we have encountered during the banking crisis, it was that such lending was not continuously monitored. And it was left to the entrepreneurs to manage their own businesses without this monitoring. The investment funds, the fund managers provide such comfort for the continuous monitor of such investments for the benefit, of course, of the investors, and of course, at the same time, for the benefit of the entrepreneurs who benefit from such investments. The Capital Markets Union, it's a very good initiative that was introduced by the European Union, and this will free capital into being invested by fund managers who could monitor their investments on an ongoing basis and support the economies within Europe. Cyprus is looking to benefit from the Capital Markets Union in that it will allow funding from within Europe into being invested in the real economy of Cyprus. And this could be invested through the private equity fund managers who could support such investments on an ongoing basis and help, especially in Cyprus, the companies that are mostly are family-owned companies to grow through private equity rather than through lending.